What happens when a driver who led 230 laps suddenly disappears from the lineup? Kansas Speedway just turned into one of the most reshuffled weekends of the 2026 NASCAR season. Across both the Cup Series and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, multiple confirmed driver and crew chief changes have completely altered the competitive picture heading into this intermediate track showdown. The biggest headline centers around Kyle Larson, but the full story goes much deeper than a single substitution. The official entry lists reveal a chain reaction of changes that affect several top-tier teams, and the timing makes it even more significant. To understand why this matters, you have to look at Larson's recent form. He has been one of the most dominant drivers in NASCAR across both series. At Bristol Motor Speedway in the Cup Series, Larson finished third after leading a race-high 284 laps and collecting strong stage points, narrowly missing victory as Ty Gibbs took the win in overtime. In the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, the day before, Larson nearly won again, finishing second after leading 230 laps before Connor Zilisch surged late for the victory. Earlier in the season, Larson already proved his strength in the O'Reilly Series by winning at Las Vegas. He also ran at Darlington in the number 88 Junior Motorsports car earlier in the year, while filling in for Alex Bowman during his recovery from vertigo issues. Across all these appearances, Larson has shown consistent speed, control, and winning potential. This is not a driver struggling or stepping away due to performance. This is a driver actively competing at the front nearly every time he runs. That context is what makes the Kansas change so noticeable. When someone performing at that level suddenly disappears from the lineup, it immediately raises questions. The entry list for Kansas confirms the replacement. William Byron will drive the number 88 Junior Motorsports Chevrolet in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. This is not a Cup Series shakeup or internal crisis at Hendrick Motorsports. It is part of the planned rotation system between Hendrick-affiliated drivers and Junior Motorsports' part-time schedule in the O'Reilly Series. Larson was never permanently assigned to Kansas in the first place. His recent performances made it feel like he would naturally continue, but the schedule was already structured months in advance. Reports indicate Larson is not scheduled to return to the O'Reilly Series until Texas Motor Speedway in early May. Kansas was always set aside for Byron as part of the rotation plan. When viewed in that context, the move makes sense structurally, even if it feels surprising given Larson's current form. Byron brings equal star power, ensuring the car remains competitive regardless of the driver swap. The number 88 program has become one of the most interesting rotating entries in the O'Reilly Series throughout 2026. It functions as a shared seat among Hendrick-affiliated drivers, with planned appearances spread across the season. Byron is scheduled for multiple starts, with Kansas marking one of his key appearances before he returns later in the year. At the same time, another major shift is happening within the same race weekend involving Connor Zilisch. After winning at Bristol in the number 1 Junior Motorsports Chevrolet, Zilisch is not returning to that car at Kansas. Instead, Carson Kvapil steps back into the number 1 entry. Zilisch's absence is tied to his Cup Series responsibilities with Trackhouse Racing, continuing his split focus between series. Kvapil, meanwhile, returns to a familiar but constantly changing environment. His 2026 season has already involved multiple car swaps across different teams and entries, making consistency a major challenge despite strong performances. This means the driver who just beat Larson at Bristol is now out of the Kansas O'Reilly field entirely, while Kvapil re-enters the lineup in his place. Another notable change involves J.J. Yealy. He will not compete in the number 5 car for this weekend's O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Kansas. Luke Baldwin takes over the seat for his second career start in the series. Baldwin previously made his debut at Martinsville, where he gained valuable experience in difficult conditions. Kansas gives him another opportunity at a 1.5-mile intermediate track to continue developing at the national level. On the Cup Series side, there is also a significant crew chief change. Wood Brothers Racing will have Matt Swiderski acting as crew chief for Josh Berry's number 21 Ford this weekend. The regular crew chief, Miles Stanley, is unavailable due to personal reasons. Swiderski is not an inexperienced replacement. He is a former Cup Series crew chief with 3 wins and has worked with multiple organizations, including Trackhouse Racing and Cowlig Racing. His experience includes wins with Daniel Suarez and AJ Allmendinger, making him a capable interim leader for the weekend. This change matters because even temporary crew chief swaps can significantly impact race execution, especially at a track like Kansas, where strategy, pit stops, and adjustments play a major role. Josh Berry enters the weekend needing stability, but will instead have to adapt to a different voice on the pit box. When all of these changes are combined, Kansas transforms from a standard race weekend into one of the most reshuffled events of the season. Larson out, Byron in, Zilish out, Kvapil back in, Yealy out, Baldwin in, Stanley out, Swiderski stepping up on the Cup side. Individually, each move makes sense. Together, they reshape the competitive landscape in a major way. The Larson situation, in particular, has drawn the most attention because of his recent dominance. Fans naturally expected him to stay in the 88, given how strong he looked at Bristol and earlier in the season. But the reality is, this is part of a broader structured rotation between Hendrick Motorsports and Junior Motorsports, rather than a performance-based decision. Kansas is not a disruption in Larson's season. It is a scheduled handoff within a larger plan. Still, it feels significant because of how competitive he has been. Ultimately, Kansas becomes a weekend defined not by one storyline, but by multiple simultaneous lineup shifts across both series. The garage may look normal at first glance, but beneath the surface, almost every key team is making a change. And when the green flag drops, those changes will directly shape how the entire weekend unfolds.